It was a scrub is a guy that thinks he's flying. Is also known as a buster. Always talking about what he wants and just sits on his fat ass. She's like fat ass. So obviously we changed that line to broken ass or whatever. But yeah. So anyway, but she loved it. We finished it, and there you go.
Where is that man now that you were talking about? Where is he? What is he doing? Is he in his house? Does he know that it was about him?
He went on to be very successful.
Okay, so we cannot talk about that particular man. I'm sure we cannot identify that man.
No.
Okay, so, but does he know? Does that particular man know that it was about him?
We never had that conversation, but I think he has an idea. Let me just say, like, those were my younger years in life. You know, I always vent through songs or whatever. So a lot of those old songs are about different relationships or whatever. And, you know, it's no love lost. It's no love lost.
No big deal. What was Bills about then? If you were venting, what was Bills?
There was some inspiration there too.
Walk me through it. I'm listening. I want to hear you. I want to hear about your love life. If this is the way I gotta hear it, give it to me.
Well, let me just say first off, initially the hook came from Shakespeare. Me and Shakespeare was, going to the store or something, and he was hearing that beat, like it was playing the beat in his head. He was like, "What you think about this?" And then he started singing the whole, "Can you pay my bills? Can you pay your telephone bills?"
My bill.
He started singing it. I was like, "Oh, that's kind of dope. I like that." And then I was like, but I didn't want the girls to come off like they are like these type of chicks that's all about trying to get money off of guys. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I was like, let's like change that narrative. So I was like, let's make the verses more so her saying like, well, you ain't doing your part. So, you know what I mean? So it changed it to that because, people always want to call, women gold diggers or whatever. So I just didn't want the song to go in that direction. So although the hook is saying that, if you just heard the hook by itself, but if you listen to the verses, that's when it goes, at first we started up cool, you know what I mean? All of that is, it made it to me more real life and relatable for a lot of them. You know what I mean? You know how sometimes a situation can start off one way, and then they all of a sudden they asking you to do stuff they want to ask you to do in the beginning. You like, hold on.
Right.
So some of the particular things that are said are definitely real life situations for me. But
we're not going to talk about those real life situations, but these are things that happen. People, you've got to read between the lines. Am I correct?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. I have a question for you. When you handed that record in, are you the kind of writer that just hands the record in and let the artist do it? Or are you a person that goes and coaches them through the vocals and stuff like that?
Oh, and let me just say, now with that particular song, or when we did the Destiny Child records, we would start them, meaning we may have come to them with already having the concept together and some of the lyric or melody or whatever, but we would collaborate with them to finish it. So they had some input on, some of the records, so most of the records, whatever. Because basically, when we first went to work with Destiny Child or whatever, we only had really like one song that had already been picked. No Scrubs had not come out yet. Like we had that song, but I'm sorry.
That's all right, go ahead.
Anyway, we had that song, but it had not come out yet. And so Shakespeare's publisher had hooked up, Shakespeare coming down there, and he asked me to come because we had been writing a lot of records together, and he felt like, he felt more comfortable going to do the session with me there. You know what I mean? So when we got there, their dad already was like, yeah, we already know who we want to work with already. You know, we don't really have no more space available, but you know, we can let y'all see what y'all gonna do. You know, it was that type of situation. Why did I hang? No, keep calling.
No, people calling.
Anyway,
That's people calling. They should know better that you're on Instagram. The woman
don't
that's
be
on
calling.
Instagram, stop
You know
calling.
what I mean? You gotta get blocked. So anyway, so what I was saying was we oh yeah, so we basically I already had came down there with like concepts, melodies, and lyrics to certain tracks. You know what I mean? And because we knew when you're working with an artist, a lot of times if they don't get to say anything on the record, then it turns them away from it. You know what I mean? So we wanted them to feel more like they were a part of it. You know what I mean? So that's why it's like, yeah, we would already have the direction there, so we know that it's gonna be hot, but we wanted to definitely like leave it a little bit open so that they can get some input too, and then that makes them feel better about doing it. You know what I mean?
Now, so when you did that, was Beyonce the person who had the most say or the most input? Who was the one out of them that was the writer that jumped in and said, yeah, this, I want to do this?
Yeah. So what happened with that? Oh, in the session, basically, she always was a leader. You know what I mean? You could all like from even us our first time being around them, you could always tell that she was a leader, you know what I mean? She was very so had a lot of input when it came to the vocal production, meaning like she knew who needed to be on what part, you know, she'd be like, well, you know, she'll go in the back, do, you know, help them with their backgrounds or tell them, you know, what she wanted them to sing as far as like arranging background vocals or whatever. Um when we were collaborating, all the girls I felt like, you know, were trying to put a little bit of input in here and there, you know what I'm saying? But as far as like when it came to doing the vocals, she was the one that was kind of more of a take charge in the studio.
So she was always like that. The Masked Singer, what made you do that show? What made you just get up and say, I'm going to do this?
Well, the Masked Singer was, they asked me to do it season one. And when they first said it, I was kind of like, I don't know. And then I actually was doing something with Escape that year that they first started it. So the scheduling didn't work out, so I couldn't do it anyway. So, but then I watched and saw T-Pain on there. And I saw, you know, he did his thing or whatever. I knew it was him as soon as, you know, he sang his first note. I knew that was him.
Right.
So I was like, okay, if the opportunity ever comes up again, I'll do it. You know what I mean? And it just so happened that they reached out to me at the end of last year and was like, oh, we about to do season 3, you know, would you like to be a part of it? And so I was like, okay.
What goes into preparing for those performances? Because that looks really hard. It looks really difficult.
It was. Performing with the whole costume and mask on when you sweating and hot and can't breathe, like those wings, it kept my shoulders back like this, so I couldn't like really breathe. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it just was it was very tough. You know what I mean? Way harder than it probably even looks to perform in those costumes. So some they can't more than a few minutes or whatever because they feel like, okay, you know, we don't want them to pass out type of thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
How heavy
you
are
know,
they?
it's
How
very,
heavy are those? How heavy are those things? How heavy are those costumes?
they change up. You know, everybody's different. So like mine, it was more so just the wings, but like some of them have to wear their whole head thing and all kind of stuff. So everybody's is different.
Because it's becoming one of my favorite shows, and I always wondered, like, it's hard for me to get on stage and perform with a mic just as Fat Man Scoop with regular performance clothes on. So do all of that is way harder. Real Housewives of Atlanta. I want to ask you 2 questions. I'm gonna get you out of here.
Okay.
What is your favorite part of shooting that show?
The trips.
The
When we go
trips.
out, yeah, when we go on those trips, we've had some really great trips in the years that I've been on here. So I would definitely say the trips are my favorite part.
Now, how do you handle staying out of drama during all these trips, during all these situations? People talking, people side conversating. How do you? Because it doesn't seem like you get into any of anything.
That's not true. Over the years, I've definitely got into a lot of different situations that I'm not necessarily happy about or proud of. But I try my best to kind of like just be, that's y'all thing, not get too much into other people's stuff. But that can even get you into trouble. If you don't have an opinion, they mad at you. You know what I'm saying? If you have an opinion, they mad at you. If you don't have an opinion, they mad at you. You know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of like it's all over the place on that show. But
Now,
what
what
it
is
is.
the average amount of time that you can stay friends with somebody on that show? What is the longest amount of times that you stayed friends with somebody and didn't have a spat? And what's the amount of time that you know by that time you probably not your relationship's gonna be worn out?
It's hard to keep friendships on that show. It really is. Hmm. I think Cynthia and I have definitely been cool for a lot of years. I think we did have an argument once, one season, but it wasn't nothing that we couldn't come back from.
Mhm.
Um, so I guess Cynthia would be the person that I've been coolest with the longest. Um, but Kenya and I, we definitely get along. We never really had no crazy arguments. I mean, she had one time where she had irritated me on this little bus ride. But other than that, um, we haven't had like any major falling outs. But I would have to say Cynthia's probably the longest I've been cool with somebody.
How do you deal with people when they become nasty or petty? Because I noticed the pettiness is on 10, the nastiness is on 10. How do you navigate that?
Oh, I won't deal with you. I'll cut somebody off and just be like, I don't
Right
fuck with
away.
you ever.
Just not fucking with
Yeah, it's
you,
hard for
block
me
phone,
to.
everything.
Yeah, it's hard for me to kind of let stuff go. Like when I don't really like you, it's hard for me to be cool again. But I do understand that, um, we work together. It's hard that you can't just not talk to the people. You know what I mean? We're around each
Right.
other all the time, and we have to communicate at some point, or else it just doesn't work, to be on a show together. So I've had to a couple times or whatever, get over it because of we're on the show together and it's not like, we can't not speak to each other.
Mm-hmm.
But if it was real everyday life and I ain't have to be on a show with some of them, oh, we never talk to me.
But yeah, y'all kiss my ass. What what is the last question? Is there any relationship that you've had on that show that is broken off or fractured that you just don't think will ever be fixed?
Oh yeah. Of course, everybody knows. I ain't even naming no names. Definitely some unrepairable relationships that broke off and won't never come back for me.
Like it's just forget about it. I have in my mind. I thought you would say, but I have in my mind who I think it is, but
We ain't even got to go there.
it's
I'm
not
just
getting fixed. See, because and the reason I asked that is because I've been on a reality show before and I've done it, and I know how Viacom and Bravo and all these people do it. Sometimes when you go cut, it's really like it's all good, but you can look at that camera and you can see in your face and other people's face that this is damn sure not acting. So I would personally think there's somebody that I think it's just forget about it. Forget about it. We're not going to go there. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that because I see it all in here. I see it all in here right now. I don't want to. I don't want to go there. I don't need black woman anger in my life. Thank you very much in Jesus' name and on nombre de Jesus Cristo. Is there anything that you'd like to say before you walk out the door and drop the mic?
yes. I need everybody to tune in on Sunday nights to The Shy. because you know now I'm on the show The Shy. I have a recurring role, and I'm just excited about that new part of my life, being an actress, seriously being an actress. You know, I've had a lot of smaller roles on different things, but this is my first time having a recurring role. So I'm super excited about it. And I want y'all to support it. And then also, I have a song I want y'all to download. It's called Used to Love Me. It's more of a up-tempo dance record. Need y'all to check that out.
Can you please send that to me? There may be a remix coming from that. Can you please send me that?
All right.
And how, as an actress, how do you deal with sex scenes? And do you have to talk to your husband or anybody about that? Because I saw some shit.
Of course.
How do you?
I had to ask my husband, obviously, before even doing the show, like how he would feel about it, because I already knew that it was going to involve some type of, you know, intimate scene or whatever. And, you know, at first I had to talk to my kids about it, you know, Riley, because she old enough to know what's going on. So I had to talk to them about it first, but they know how important it is to me to, you know, to be an actress. And that's one of my favorite shows. So, you know, they were supportive. But, you know, once it actually happened, I didn't think it was as bad as what I thought it was going to be, because I thought I was going to have to get like naked, you know what I mean? But I was able to just, you know, keep on some clothes, you know, hike with the skirt up or whatever. And it was cool, you know, but it was a little intense, you know, for the relationship, because at the time, you know, my husband don't want to hear nobody making jokes about that or, you know, any of that. But he wants to support me at the same time. So
Right. So he rolled with it, but it's safe to say he's not going to turn on the TV and look at that. He doesn't want to see it on social
he
media.
saw it. He saw it. He saw it.
So what's his reaction? When you were sitting there and he saw it, what did that face look like?
I think he thought it was gonna be much worse. So he was calm. He was okay.
Did he have to go get a dime bag of weed, or perhaps a Colt 45, or some type of alcoholic beverage after watching it?
No, he was okay. He was okay.
He took an exception and he walked it off. It was fine. It's okay.
He was okay. He was okay.
Okay, I got that. I thank you very much for coming through. You know, I appreciate you. Send me that song. I'm gonna DM you. I'm gonna text you my email. Send me that song. There may be a remix coming from that. Send that to me immediately.
All right, thank you.
All right,
Bye.
thank you. Kandi Burris right there.